Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by new Stumped, America's leading spray deodorant. Now with its anti-immunity factor. Poof! There goes perspiration. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
On my left, a young gentleman who is talking to Arlene Francis now, so I probably will get this introduction all mixed up. But he's a star of his own television show in New York 5 nights a week. Very funny. We all love him. Steve Allen.
Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you. And on my left, one of the lovely ladies of radio and television who I understand was absolutely drenched in a rainstorm in Fort Worth, Texas just the other day, but she's back here tonight all dried off, Arlene Francis.
And on my left, the publisher of Random House, and boy, do they love him in Fort Worth, Texas, Bennett Cerf.
Girl, do they love you in Niagara Falls and Toronto?
Well, say, we've really gotten around.
On my left is a rising young boy coming into his own very rapidly that they love everywhere, John Charles Daly.
Kind words, Bennett. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight, we have some very nice people with some very interesting occupations. They're here to, I think, have some fun themselves, hope to give you some fun, and to give the panel a rough time. We hope they're successful. They carry home some prizes and pleasant memories of the program. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before our panel a bit later on, but now I think it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they have to spot. Will you sign in, please, ma'am? Wilma? Sacramento. Is that right? What are you nervous about? You don't know? Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs. Sacramento. And where are you from?
North Braddock, Pennsylvania.
North Braddock, Pennsylvania. Well, I don't think I've ever been there, but it's certainly nice to see you. And I think the panel would like to see you because they have to do some guessing, and I think they should know you a bit better. Would you go and see them?
Get up here,
Hello, Miss Sacramento.
How do you do? Miss Sacramento, will you come over here now and sit down next to me, please? And I think perhaps you know that because the panel has had a chance... Can we get that skirt in there? Are you comfortable? Fine. Because the panel has had a chance to meet you, we feel they'll get one free guess as to what your line may be. And we always begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she's a harpist.
A harpist? Mr. Allen?
Sacramento is big tomato country, as I recall. I think she's a looking tomato.
Perfectly true, but not necessarily germane. Miss Francis?
I think she's just a housewife.
Mr. Cerf?
I think she's one of those new Italian movie stars that they're bringing over here by the bucketful.
From Sacramento?
No, she's going to
I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mrs. Sacramento, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. Mrs. Sacramento, the panel has got to work hard on this. Are you familiar with the scoring?
Yes.
You know what happens every time I flip one of these things. All right, fine. Then Mrs. Sacramento is salaried, and with that, let's begin the general questioning with Bennett Cerf.
Mr. Sacramento, am I correct in assuming that that is an Italian name?
Yes.
But you have nothing to do with the entertainment business?
No.
I wasn't right about the movie star.
No.
Well, they're missing a bet. Well, is your work, would we be helped in guessing what you do if we knew that you were Italian?
No.
That makes it 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
You're a Pennsylvanian, then?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
No.
Go,
Gee whiz. Then the outfit...
2 down and 8.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just still giggling about the look on the faces. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Allen.
Then the outfit you work for is losing money rapidly, is it? Is it by any chance any form of government?
Yes.
Well, just got one chance in 3 here. Is it city government?
Yes.
You're a city government employee of some kind.
Don't pull the trigger now.
Do you have anything to do with the law?
Yes.
Gee whiz. Are you a policewoman of some kind?
Yes.
Gee.
That's the kind she is.
Here are my hands. Arrest me right now. We can leave. I don't care.
Actually, Steve, I think we'd have to give... You've got it. Policewoman is right. But just for fun, see if you can guess what division of the police Mrs. Sacramento is with.
Well, I'm sure Bennett's wrong. She's not a motorcycle policeman.
And
I know, just a lady detective or one of those
No,
things?
we're going to flip cards for this, too. That's fun. That's Lady Detective Miss Francis.
Does she have anything to do with the traffic?
That's right. Traffic cop. For a long time.
I should think everything would stop when it sees Miss Sacramento.
This is a whole new theory of safety on the highway. You put Mrs. Sacramento there, nobody goes fast anymore. It's a wonderful idea. Well, Mrs. Sacramento said that she had fun, which pleases us all mightily. Small prize, but we hope most of all pleasant memories, because it was nice to have you with us.
I'd
And
like
what's
to
my
say
life?
hello to my son, Anthony.
You go right ahead and do that.
Good night, Anthony.
A very, very good beginning, panel. Let's see if you can hold up this pace. Will you sign in, please, sir? Jack? Jack Sirkin, is that right? Well, busting chalk, eh?
Yes, sir.
Where are you from, Jack?
Newark, New Jersey.
Newark, New Jersey. Well, you're practically a neighbor. But still, though you're a neighbor to those 4 folks over there, I don't think they've had much chance to see you. So go over and say, take a look at me, will you?
That muscle, Mr. Sirkin, or just a suit? Muscle.
Can you bend over and touch your toes, Mr. Sirkin? Come on. No?
I feel your shoulder pads, sir. Yeah, those are real shoulders, I see.
All right, Mr. Sirkin, over here now, if you will, and sit down next to me. And I think you're all ready for that free guess, which is customary at this time, and it always begins with Dorothy Kilgallen.
I think he's a fight promoter.
A fight promoter, Mr. Allen.
I think he's a chalk buster.
Miss Francis.
I think he's a hotel manager.
Mr. Sir.
I think he runs those stock car races over in Newark.
No, I'm afraid not. Let our viewers have another look at Mr. Sirkin, same time we tell them what his line is. Well, looks like we're going to have some fun. Mr. Sirkin, you know how we do this.
Yes, sir.
All set? All right, I hope to do a lot of flipping here. Hope the panel flips its lid, too. You're all set, then I will tell them that Mr. Sirkin is salaried, and we begin the general questioning with Steve Allen.
Is there a product connected with your work, sir?
Yes, sir.
Is this the kind of thing that I might ever come into contact with?
Yes.
Is this the kind of a product that might ever make people happy?
Yes.
Might it ever make them downright exuberant?
Yes.
Good.
Does it ever make you happy with all this happiness around? Well, the audience seems so happy, and there seems to be so much happiness here. By any chance, does this product come in a bottle?
Yes.
Is it anything alcoholic?
No.
Small conference.
Yes.
We would like to inquire if you are making specific reference to alcoholic content in the bottle. And if so...
Make it easy on yourself, John. Is there any alcohol in the product? That's what I had in mind.
Yes.
Leads me to a point of some confusion. Is this something that if a fellow had an ulcer, a doctor would advise him not to drink it?
If he had an ulcer, would a doctor advise him not to drink it? I would say yes, wouldn't you, Mr. Serkin?
Yes.
And you don't seem to be sure how much alcohol is in it, is that right? And you must be a bootlegger, I guess. Is this, by any chance, not a beverage?
No, it is not a beverage.
Yes, it is not a beverage.
Could you buy it in a drugstore?
No.
No, there is a no answer there, and I would explain that in this general area you might buy it in drugstore, but in the particular product with which Mr. Serkin is concerned, we have ascertained that it is not purchasable in the average drugstore. That makes it $1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Is this something that is applied on the person rather than put into the person?
Yes.
Could it be put on a person's head?
Yes.
Would it be in the hope of improving the head in some way?
Yes.
Yeah, it would tend to improve the head, I think, yes.
No, I mean, would it grow hair or something like that?
Yes.
Do you have a product that grows hair?
Yes.
Do you go around the country as a living example?
You must have just started in this business. Yes. These ain't feathers.
John, he must be before. Who's after?
Now, actually, I still think we've got to find out just what it is that Mr. Serkin has to do with this here product which is made to grow hair.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he manufactured a hair tonic of some kind.
Well, he does make it. I mean, he's in the manufacturing process, sorry. So I think you've got that.
He makes it and sells it himself personally? Is that what you want me to say?
No, well, actually, the point I wanted to make, because I didn't want Steve to think I was unfair.
You don't buy it in a store. You buy it at a medicine
What is
show.
it? It's a special product.
You'll buy it in a barber and beauty shop.
Oh.
And only in barber beauty shops?
Only in barber and beauty shops, a take-home package. And also an application in the barber and beauty shop.
I see, and it grows
Don't
hair.
you think we owe it to Mr. Serkin to let him tell us what the name of the
I think
product
I've got to
is?
find out the name of this. If it grows hair, I may need it.
H-A-Y-R, hair for hair. And
What could be fair in that?
H-E-Y-R.
Hair.
Steve, gotta flip some more cards for that. That's a cinch. There we are. Thank you very much, Mr. Serkin. Had a lot of fun. Good to see you. We come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My colleagues over here on the panel have blindfolds for this every Sunday night, and they've got blindfolds on, and they're all in place and ready, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good, then will you come in, Mystery Challenger, and sign in, please? Panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we get right down to the general questioning, and let's begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you in show business?
Yes, I am.
Are you a performer?
Huh?
Are you a performer rather than someone behind the scenes?
Yes, I'm a performer.
Are you an actor?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do something in addition to acting?
What is your particular reference there, Miss Dorothy?
Miss Kilgallen, I'll have to ask you to repeat the question.
Is that a point of order?
Looks like it, Dorothy.
Do you do anything besides just plain little old acting? Such as singing, dancing, acrobatic tricks, or...
Yes.
Have you ever been in motion pictures?
I beg your pardon?
Have you ever been in motion pictures?
One.
Have you ever been on the stage?
The vaudeville stage.
What was that?
The vaudeville stage.
Vaudeville stage. But you have said yes to the fact that you're an actor. Where would you do your acting, if not
He also sings in the bathtub.
I know there's something I'm missing here, but...
You sure are, but you'll have to ask so we can answer yes or no if you want to find out where he does his acting.
Well,
No,
he
it's,
said
it's
he's
just-
acted on the vaudeville stage.
Yes.
Then is it true that you have never been on what we call the legitimate stage in New York?
That's correct.
That's true. And one picture.
Probably just somebody getting started or something.
Have you been in radio?
Yes.
Have you performed as an actor on radio?
Yep.
In dramatic programs? Would you be described as a leading man? Did I get an answer to that?
Sometimes.
Oh. Do you work with anyone else usually?
Yes.
Is that person in the nature of a partner?
I would say that to the degree that there is a very clear relationship as between our guest and the other person, they might be described loosely as partners.
Well, I'm glad it's a clear relationship because I'm a little muddy. Is this person, by any chance, not a real person?
He's real.
That's one down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
What was his answer precisely, John?
That the partner, he whom we describe or she whom we describe as partner, is real.
Did he say he's real?
That's what it sounded like to me.
Just wanted to, find out the easy way if it was a he. Do you do comedy?
Yes.
Good for you. That's very fine. Why don't we do some together here?
Would it be safe to describe your program, this radio program to which we're referring for the moment, as a comedy program?
You,
Repeat the question, please.
if you don't mind.
Could we have that read back, please? I say, would it be safe to describe this radio show that you have done as a comedy program?
At present, I'm not doing a radio program.
Well, that wasn't quite the question I asked. When you were doing it, how are you? Was it a comedy program?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear. Are you now on television? I don't mean right now. I mean, besides right now, do you have a television program?
Yes.
Let's see. Comedy television program. My partner. Does it come from California?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you work with a very important comedian?
Yes.
Are you on regularly?
Mm-hmm.
Like every week?
Yeah.
Is this show that you're on once a week as opposed to 5 times a week or so forth?
Yes.
Is the man that you are with a very famous comedian apart from yourself?
Yes.
You don't sound anything like him. Could it be Arnold Stang?
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Silk.
Now, I'm going to take another stab, if I may. Is the very famous man you work with, has he recently been hors de combat because of an accident that he suffered while he was doing a television show? Mm-hmm. Do you appear in, were you the star of his program one night while he was away?
Well, yes.
I think you're that New Rochelle kid, Al Carney.
Al Carney.
Point of order.
Art Carney.
All right, panel. Well and truly done. Let's see what you can do with another challenger now. Let's see if we can find us a challenger who will come in and sign in. Would you sign in, please, sir? Timothy J. Timothy J. Turpin, is that right? Where are you from, Mr. Turpin?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Well, consider a brotherly love. Got some brothers and sisters over there. Go over and say a quick hello, will you?
Hello, Mr. Turpin.
I do,
Ooh,
sir.
what a big hand.
All right, Mr. Turpin.
The biggest.
You get your hand back from Dorothy. You bring it over here. Come on, sit down next to me, and we'll give them their one free guess that they always get after they've had a chance to meet you. We begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a golf pro.
A golf pro, Mr. Allen.
Mr. Turpin sells turpentine.
Miss Francis.
Philadelphia Scrapple.
Mr. Self.
Hate to tell you what senator he reminds me of. I think he's in politics.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mr. Turpin. At the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. All right, Mr. Turpin, you know how we score.
Yes.
The flipping division. We have about 4 minutes, panel. Mr. Turpin is salaried. Let's begin with Arlene Francis.
Do you work for a profit-making organization, Mr.
Yes.
Turpin? You deal in services?
Yes.
Is there any product involved in what you do?
Yes.
Is it a useful product?
Very.
Is it found in the home?
Yes.
Could it be found outside of the home?
Yes.
Would men and women both use it?
Yes.
Would children ever use it?
Yes.
It's a good all-round product, then.
Very.
Is it, if it were in the home, would it be in a place that it would be seen rather than put away somewhere?
I can't answer that.
Yes, I would think that to the degree that it's in the home, one of the purposes of its use would require that it be seen, wouldn't you think?
Should have done that with Miss Sacramento, John.
I would say this, and I think Mr. Turpin would agree, that in its use, you would
You
see
would
it.
see it.
Yes, yes.
Does it have any moving parts?
No moving parts. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mr. Turpin, this may never get around to Steve Allen, so I'll ask you, is it bigger than a bread box? A teeny bread box.
Now, Mr. Turpin says that it could be, so we'll let you go on, Mr. Sir.
Oh, does this come in various sizes, then?
Yes.
Is it a solid?
Yes.
There's some doubt about this?
Well, not really. We're pretty well agreed that it's solid. It's about the only thing I really know about this, but I know it's solid.
Is it by any chance inflammable?
Inflammable? Sure, now, 8 to go. Boy, I'm learning lots tonight. Miss Kilgallen.
Is it by any chance edible?
Edible?
Yes.
Well, that was a quick answer. They usually
Well, you see, I
store
didn't know
around
that.
more than that. And this can be eaten by men, women, and children. Would it be eaten at dinner time?
Yes, could be.
Is it rather an accessory than a main course?
No.
Main course?
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Allen. You got about 50
Is it
seconds.
animal rather than vegetable?
No.
That makes it 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Is it vegetable rather than animal?
No.
Thank you, John Daly.
Actually, there are both, and I think that it's vegetable rather than animal only in the context of both. Would you agree with that?
It's a mixture.
Well, I'm sorry, we ran out of time.
Kind of hash or something?
No,
Yes,
no.
sir.
What is it?
Got to flip the lid now. And get ready to flip. Mr. Turpin manages a pizza pie factory.
Oh.
Where do you do this, Mr. Turpin?
I do this for Giuseppe in Philadelphia.
Giuseppe in Philadelphia. Pizza pies come in all sizes. We hope you had fun. You get the full price because we ran out of time, and thanks for being our guest.
Thank
Nice
you.
to have you.
What do you mean it isn't inflammable?
Till next week, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Steve.
Good night, boys, and good night, Arlene.
Good night, boys, girls, animals. And good night, Bennett.
Good night, John.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Trotman production. In association with the CBS Television Network.
World-famous chemist, Dr. Jules Montagnier, creator of fine cosmetics, of new Poof body powder, and originator of Stumped, the nation's first and most popular spray deodorant in the amazing plastic bottle that you just squeeze and poof, there goes perspiration, presents television's gayest game, What's My Line?
And now let's meet our What's My Line panel of well-known personalities whose lines you already know. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, the noted columnist and author whose latest book is the very funny Laughter Incorporated, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Thank you, Dorothy. On my left is a glamorous lady whose charming phiz, like that of Dorothy Kilgallen, beams out at you from a double-page spread in the current issue of Life, Miss Arlene Francis.
Didn't mention the girl in the middle, eh? Say Emerson, I'll mention it. And on my left, our favorite comedy panelist, Hal Block.
And on my left, my favorite news correspondent, a man who should have known that Truman wasn't going to run when Margaret hooked up with Durante, Mr. John Daly.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What's My Line, presented by Stumped. Once again tonight, we're going to have some folks from here and there before our cameras, all of them with interesting and varied occupations, and all of them hoping to give our friends on the panel a run for the money. They hope to carry home some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a little bit later in the show, but right now, to start things rolling, it's time for our experts to meet our first challenger, whose job they'll have to spot. Will you sign in, please, ma'am? It's very nice to see you, Miss Brody. Stay here to meet you, Mr. Seth, will you? Say, that's a real lovely orchid you have there, you know?
That was given me by a very special friend.
Well, I'm very happy to hear it. I hope this is a special occasion and you have lots of fun. Will you tell us, first of all, where you live?
New York City.
In New York. Well, then you haven't had too far to travel so far tonight, and our friends on the panel would like to know you a little better. So would you walk down in front of the panel for me, please?
How are you? Well, what is the name? Now that you wrote it.
Mrs. Brody, hello.
Mrs. Brody, I want to look at that pink ribbon.
I've worn a pink ribbon for the last 60 years.
All right, Miss...
I just want to shake hands, too.
You look better.
Mrs. Brody, would you come over here now? Would you come over here and sit down next to me, please? Would you come over here now and sit down next to me? That's it. Just come on over here and sit down, will you? Be comfortable. Now, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Mrs. Brody. On the basis of your handwriting, what you said, come up real close because you're going to have to use that microphone. We're going to give the members of the panel one free guess as to what your line may be, and we'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
Well, I think obviously she paints primitives.
Mr. Sir.
I think she's a fan dancer.
Miss Francis.
Judging by her handwriting, I think she must specialize in writing the Lord's Prayer on the head of a pin.
Mr. Block.
Thank you.
I think she's an oil well driller.
No, I'm afraid you're all wrong. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mrs. Brody. At the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But, panel, you've got to work. Here's how the game works, Mrs. Brody. The panel will ask you questions to be answered yes or no. And each time that you give them a no answer, it's going to cost them $5, and we'll keep the record up here. 10 no's and $50, they've lost the game. All right, we'll give them one more bit of help. Mrs. Brody is salaried, and with that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Sir.
Mrs. Brody, do you perform services of any kind?
I do.
Is there a product involved in what you do?
Well, yes, to quite some extent.
Do you yourself have something to do with the making or manufacture of this product?
I certainly do.
Is it a product that can be used equally by men and women?
Might say male and female.
Don't
Male
you
and
give him
female.
so much help. Yes to that.
Oh, male and female. I see. Well, then this isn't a product that I would wear myself. Is that correct?
I think you'd look rather ridiculous.
Yes, it is a product that you would not use yourself, Mr. Sir.
Mrs. Brody, if, I think you gave me rather a hint. Would you say that this was a product that was used on animals of some sort?
Well, to some extent, yes.
Would they be domesticated animals?
Would you give a short definition of domesticated here so nobody gets hurt?
Well, certainly not a wife. Domesticated in the sense that they're tame and can be found somewhere around the house or the farm.
Found somewhere around the house, and that'd be the one down and 9 to go.
The one place that I'm afraid...
Don't tell them any more. All right, Miss Francis.
Is this animal something, then, that one might find outdoors?
I think.
Yes.
Rather.
Is it a four-legged animal?
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy. Is it an animal larger than a dog?
Well, a little bit like.
The way you said a little bit larger, I have a feeling it's a rhinoceros. No, but it is a large animal on the size of, let us say, a horse or a rhinoceros? Or an elephant in that category?
Well, it might be classed as such.
Well, I can't ignore the ooh, so I must ask you if it has anything to do with the elephant kingdom.
I'm afraid
Just
it does.
It does.
Despite
Now, do you, by any chance, have anything to do with some part of the elephant? Some special part?
Oh, no.
Oh, we'll work on the whole elephant, huh?
Yeah.
You're a little woman to do all that.
I never believe in doing things in half.
Two down and 8 to go, Mr. Block.
I kind of hate to confine this to the elephant because I don't want to be partisan in politics. But, you
shouldn't
by
leave doors
any
open
chance-
like that, Hal. You really shouldn't.
you by any chance have anything to do with training an elephant?
Well, not today,
Not-
but in former years.
Not today. That is not the line now. So that's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Does what you do to the elephant improve its appearance?
Greatly.
Is it something that has to do with the elephant when the elephant is on parade or being seen by the public?
Certainly does. To great extent.
Is it something that the elephant would wear?
Well, yes. He wouldn't look well lying down in it, though.
I have seen elephants in very pretty little tutus and other sort of costumes. Do you, by any chance, have something to do with the making of costumes for elephants?
Mm-hmm.
When they're all
Certainly
dressed
does.
up? Do you sew on the costumes?
Oh, yes.
You are then a couturier for elephants?
Beg pardon?
A couturier for elephants? And I think we're going to have to agree it's right. Mrs. Brody embroiders elephant blankets.
Oh.
86 years old.
86 years old.
And she spends all of her time doing this elaborate embroidery on the elephant blankets that the elephants wear when they're on their best bib and tucker, I guess you'd say, wouldn't you?
I'm sure the elephants will always remember her.
I'm sure they will, too. Well, you got a
Pretty good prize, but I think above everything else you had a good time being with us, and certainly it was wonderful having you as our guest on What's My Line. Good night. And now let's see what we can do with another challenger. Will you sign in, please, ma'am? Dolores Belcher. Are you? Is it Miss or Miss? Miss Belcher. Will you tell us, first of all, Miss Belcher, where you live?
Port Jervis, New York.
Port Jervis. That's
Did you say this was Miss Belcher?
Miss Belcher, that's right. Our friends in the panel get curious already. They want to know you better. Will you walk down in front of the panel, please? Hello.
Port Jervis, Miss Belcher. She has short fingernails.
All right, Miss Belcher, will you come over here now and sit down next to me, please? And on the basis of your handwriting, what you said, the close look that our friends have had at you, we give them one free guess as to what your line may be, and we'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she plays a harp.
Plays a harp, Mr. Sir.
I think she rides on the elephants after Mrs. Brody puts the blankets on.
Miss Francis.
I think she designs hats.
Mr. Block.
I think she probably manufactures calendars, and I'd like to be one of her dates.
Oh, no. I'm afraid you're all wrong. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Miss Belcher, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. Panel, this ought to give you some fun. You all know how to play the game, and you know how. You heard me explain it, so let's give them one more bit of help, shall we? We'll tell them that you are salaried, and with that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Block.
Do you deal with a product?
Yes.
Is it a product that's used in everyday life?
Yes.
Would I ever come in contact with this product?
Possibly, yeah? Sure. What's this?
Yes.
I hope this has to do with human beings. Does it apply to one sex more than the other?
Yeah, I would say it applies more to one sex than another, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it something that's worn?
Yes.
Is it used by the feminine sex?
Yes.
Is it something that maybe you could hold in your hand?
Yes.
And they wear it?
Yes.
Is it something that you wouldn't want to just wear that, nothing else when you want?
The answer to that one is definitely, says Miss Belcher. Go ahead, Mr. Block.
Is it something you might put on in... Why don't I shut up? Is it something you might put on in the bedroom?
Yes.
Is it something that's worn, let's say, from the shoes up?
From the shoes up?
I mean, something above the shoes?
Is it something worn above the shoes? Yes.
Something worn above the waist? Is it something that's worn above the neck? Is it something worn above the mouth?
No. One down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
It's below the mouth, but above the neck? I'm just reviewing.
Could be above the neck, but not above the mouth.
It's not above the mouth,
That's right. It's not above.
but it is above the neck.
Yeah. Don't keep this up. You'll get me confused.
Not any more confused than I am. Is it something that has to do with improving the appearance?
Yes.
Would you consider it a beauty aid? Is it something you'd wear more often at night than in the daytime?
No. Well, now, wait a minute. We've got a little problem.
Well,
will you let us have a small conference?
Yes, I could clarify it if you wanted me to.
well, we could dance in the meantime.
Well, I think so, too. Yes, 2 down and 8 to go. On the basis of a question asked, is it worn more at night than the daytime? The answer is no, and we will now have Mr. Sir.
Miss Belcher, you said this is not worn above the mouth. Is it worn on or in the mouth? Is it worn inside the mouth? Well, I mean on the teeth, something to do with, anything at all to do
On
with
the teeth? No, that makes it 3 down and 7 to go. Miss Francis, just let him go
Is
on.
this something that you might put in your mouth and swallow?
But you wouldn't. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Block.
Well, we got it around the mouth at least, so we're lucky. Can we have a small count?
20 seconds for a count.
Ask if it's used on the mouth.
lipstick.
No, why would you...
She said, isn't used.
He uses it. How does he happen to use it?
He would come in contact
with it.
Come in
Hey! I think I see a light. Is it worn on the mouth?
Yes.
Are you wearing it now?
Yes.
Any questions? Is it lipstick?
Oh, wait a minute. What does Miss Belcher have to do with lipstick?
Oh,
What does she have to do with it?
Yes.
She looks adorable in it.
Agreed. But we're here to guess her line, remember?
Has she anything to do with the merchandising or the manufacture or something of it?
I guess we'll have to give it to him, yeah. That's right. Makes lipstick. Well, you got very well with the prizes. I also hope that you enjoyed yourself. It was nice to have you as What's My Line. Good night. Good to see you. And now, yes, dear?
I was just going to say, I swallowed quite a lot of mine.
Do you?
Get it on your teeth, too.
I'm not an expert
You go
on
out with
this.
the wrong fellas.
All right, now, before we introduce our mystery guest, here's some exciting... Now we come to the regular special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. And since our friends on the panel would recognize our famous guest on sight, we have provided them with blindfolds. Are they all in place, panel?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good. Will you come in, Mystery Challenger, and sign in, please? Panel, as you know...
You know, I didn't know Eisenhower would be here so fast.
As you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, we dispense with all the usual preliminaries and get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
I gather that you're a well-known face to the public. Is that true?
Could be.
Are you in any form of show business?
What did he say?
Would you repeat the question, Miss Kilgallen?
Are you in any form of show business?
This could be debated.
Are you a performer of any kind?
That could be.
That could be, yeah.
Are you an actor?
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Sir.
Are you a singer?
He's saying yes and shaking his head, so I think
Saying
we'll
yes?
call that yes, Mr. Sir.
Do you burst into tears every time you burst into singing?
Only when hearing mine own record.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
You're not an actor. Are you a public figure of some kind?
Would you tell us a little more what you mean by...
I mean, are you in public life, but sing about it once in a while? Like in politics or something.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Block.
Are you employed?
They're paying for this, I guess.
I think we give you a yes on that, Mr. Block.
Well, you've been getting a lot of screams. Are you funny?
I won't let him say no. I would say that there are a great many people who think he's very, very funny. Or at least
Are you married?
Ah, yeah.
I never thought I'd see the day. Go on, Mr. Block.
You have 5 daughters?
5 daughters? That's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
What the man is that?
When you do whatever it is you do you... We've established, haven't we, that you appear before the public. People are watching you.
Yes, that's been established.
May I assume that the voice you're using now is not the voice which is most familiar to the general public?
It's not so. I use it often.
He uses it often, but we will yield the point, Miss Dorothy, that this is not the voice by which
He
he
uses
is
that voice.
generally known to the public.
Do you ever talk as well as sing in doing what you do?
I go on at a great rate all day long. You'd be surprised.
Are you associated with some other famous person in one of the things you do? Like a famous comedian?
Is he associated with a famous comedian in some of the things he does?
Yes.
You mean in his performing before the public being seen by saying that's fine?
All right, Mr. Stern.
When you do your specialty, is there usually a microphone somewhere near you?
A microphone?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't hear your answer.
Yes. Yes.
Would your singing come anywhere under the heading of crooning?
This one you're good at.
See if I wouldn't call it that at all.
No, I don't think you can. No, I don't think you can. That's 6 down and 4 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you a television personality?
This could be.
Are you also a radio personality?
Ach, yeah.
That's the easy one. You've disguised your voice so many times, but I have a feeling you're a youngish man. Is that true?
Extremely.
You are a young man?
Oh, yes.
A little while earlier, you said that you performed all, you were, whatever you did all the time. So that I imagine you're on more than one feature show. Is that correct? I mean, you do more than one big show a week?
We'll be with you in just a minute.
Well, you do more than one, don't you?
Hey, Daly, can I disqualify myself? I got to look at this guy.
No, you can't.
I had to say
Now, Miss Dorothy.
What happened? I haven't heard the last answer.
Well, we're going to give it to you right away quick. As a matter of fact, I just wanted to warn you, we have only about 3 minutes to go, so you all better get going. The answer to your question, does our guest appear on more than one feature show, is yes.
He does appear on more than one featured show.
Yes.
Would this personality be on every day?
You mean 7 days a week?
Well, you know, I mean every radio day or 5 days a week.
5 days a week we would give you.
Is it... Oh, well, I was going to ask you if it was Dave Garroway.
You want that no written out, or would you have it done with semaphore? Down and 3 to go, and we come to Miss Kilgallen.
You know, I'm very glad I can watch.
Are you well known for your handling of commercial products?
Yes.
Are you also interested in ladies' necklines?
proper answer to that might be, who isn't? But the answer is yes.
I meant notably. Do you play, if you'll excuse the expression, a musical instrument?
This woman is knowing who I am without saying so.
Yeah. Who is it?
Are you Arthur Godfrey?
Yes. There's one thing that I'm going to say for Arthur, if I may. I know that he would want to have said it himself if he'd stayed with us. He is very active in the current drive for the Red Cross. In fact, he is the chairman of the entertainment division for this area of the country. I think all of you know that the Red Cross is something that we fall back upon, every one of us, in the moments of greatest stress and travail. They need your support very badly now. They're raising their annual sums of money to carry on their work, such as the work that was recently done in the tornado area. If you haven't done your bit for the Red Cross so far this year, please get up and do something about it tomorrow. At the same time, our panel of experts will be asked, what's my line by this man? Would you know what his occupation is? Could you spot his line? For the answers to these questions and a good many others, be sure to be with us again next Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when once again Stumped invites you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your newspaper for the date and time of our weekly series. And until then, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Bennett.
Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Al.
What was the name of that last fellow again?
Smith. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
Hey, won't you play some Beat the Clock games with Bud Collier next? Then strike a match with Gene Rayburn and the gang on Match Game, only on Game Show Network.
In association with the CBS Television Network.
If you saw this man at your corner drugstore or in a juke joint, would you be able to tell what he does for a living? Is he a saxophone player, a clerk in a shoe store, a lifeguard from Atlantic City? What would you say if he turned to you and asked,
What's my line?
Yes, here's television's newest game, a challenge to you to spot people from all occupations as they come before the close-up of our camera. You will have a chance to match your observation skills with our panel of experts for the next half hour as we invite you to play What's My Line? And now, let's meet our lineup of well-known personalities whose lines you probably already know. First, the distinguished neuropsychiatrist, Dr. Richard Hoffman.
And beside me sits that happy marriage of beauty and brains, Arlene Francis.
And here is my favorite poet and editor, Louis Untermeyer.
And here is my favorite girl about town, Dorothy Kilgallen.
And for the evening, the distinguished commentator, Mr. John Daly.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line? Once again, you will see people from many varied and perhaps unexpected lines of work and occupations who are all here to baffle our panel of experts to the happy end that they may take home some prize money. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before our panel a little later on in the show, but now to get things rolling, it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose line they will have to spot. All right, will you sign in, please, sir? Cormac McGowan. Well, thank you, Mr. McGowan. That's quite a bold hand that you have there. Will you tell us where you live?
The Bronx, New York.
In the Bronx in New York. Well, there's the panel. As you see, there's not a thing to be afraid of. All timid-looking souls, aren't they? Well, now it's our custom to let the panel have a closer look at you at this point. So any reasonable demands they make of you, will you please accede to them?
Yes, Mr.
All right, panel, he's all yours.
Oh, go ahead. Do you want to ask him something?
I just want to feel his muscles.
Oh, naturally. I'm next. Mr. McGowan, would you take this handkerchief and would you breathe deeply and see if you can tell me what it smells like to you? Be careful.
That's deep enough.
Lavender.
Smells like lavender? Not Esquire shoe polish. Well, he's no Sherlock Holmes because there's no lavender in it.
McGowan, will you put your hand over your tie? What kind of a tie have you on?
Red and gray.
A red one?
Yes, sir.
And gray?
Yes, sir.
Bought it yourself?
My wife bought it.
Your wife always select your ties?
Yes, sir.
Well, you're tied in more ways than one then, aren't you?
That's damaging
Yes,
enough.
sir.
Mr. McGowan, you come over here and sit down next to me. The panel has had enough of a close look at you, I think. And now, Mr. McGowan, what we do on the basis of your handwriting, what you've said, how you said it, and the close look the panel has had at you, we give them one wild, free, happy guess as to what your line may be. And we'll begin the wild guesses with Dr. Hoffman.
Well, from the way he recognized the scent, he's a detective.
He's a detective. Well, that's a very interesting answer. What about you, Miss Francis?
Well, a Scotch name like McGowan, maybe he invented Scotch tape. Is that
Well,
possible?
I don't think that's it. Mr. Undermeyer,
No, I think he is a geologist.
a geologist. Miss Kilgallen,
I think he's a salesman of some type, if he is not, as Dr. Hoffman says, a detective.
a
That's
salesman
my
of
first
perfume, perhaps.
thought. No.
No, well, all right,
definitely
I'm
not.
afraid that that's all we can give you in the way of wild guesses. And now we're going to let our viewers at home have a really close look at Mr. McGowan. And at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. Well, panel, you know the rules. You may, in turn, ask Mr. McGowan questions. They will be answered yes or no. Each no answer will cost the panel $5, which will go to Mr. McGowan, and we'll keep a record of that right here on these cards. 10 no's, and you've lost the game. Now, we'll give you one more bit of help. We'll tell you that Mr. McGowan is salaried. And we'll go from the particular to the general, with Miss Francis beginning the questions.
Mr. McGowan, do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
You do? And do you sell services?
Yes.
You do? Do you do most of your work indoors, or do you go from door to door?
Indoors.
Indoors.
Yes, we'll ask questions that can be answered yes and no. Hey, Miss Francis, thank you very much.
You think we've got anything with him?
Yes, I think we've got him.
Well, I heard no call for consultation. Continue, Miss
Inside.
Francis.
Do you work, would you say that the place of your business is a very large organization?
Yes.
It is. You're not sure how large it is, huh?
Well, I would say it's quite large.
And do you use your mind and your eye and your ear as opposed to your brawn?
I do. Yes.
But don't be misled. His brawn may also be necessary to
Uh-huh.
the purveyance of his services. Would you like to pass, Miss Francis?
Yes, I do feel there's something about Scotland Yard. I think he's right, but I don't know just exactly.
All right, well,
what it
Miss
is.
Francis,
I
you
pass.
pass. We'll let Mr. Undermeyer take up the cudgels from here.
I would like to take up the cudgels from Miss Francis very
Anytime.
quickly. Anytime. Any gold cudgel that she likes to have lying around. I'd like to ask Mr. McGowan, do you also work with your muscles?
No.
You know, you have no muscles?
Well, no, we won't take a no answer.
One or
Let's
two.
say it might be used at some time as he...
Well, can I
Sells
ask,
his
can I
services.
put it a
You
little
withdraw
bit
that
differently?
question and
I
ask it
withdraw
over
it.
again.
Am I the kind of a person you'd like to work on? Or with?
No.
This is tempting, Mr. Undermeyer, and he said no, so that's 1 down and 9 to go, and Miss Kilgallen's on the block.
May I ask, Mr. McGowan, do you work on women? Well, you purvey services. Are your services purveyed to women as well as men?
Yes, both would say.
Well, then you, in a sense, you work on women. Whatever you sell, you...
In the nicest possible sense, I hope.
Do you wear any sort of distinguishing uniform when you are
No,
working?
I don't.
You wear just
That's
what
2
you're
down and 8 to go, and Dr. Hoffman, you have a chance.
Does your
Mr.
work
McGowan.
require a sort of special talent?
Yes, sir.
Takes a certain amount of training?
Yes, sir.
And is society benefited through your work?
Yes. Yes.
Is your work in any way, has it anything to do with the idea of correction in a broad way?
You think so?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Yes.
Consultation. Something with broad.
All right, you have 20 seconds for consultation.
You mean in a broad way, not on Broadway?
No, not on, in. The preposition is the proposition.
You think, as I think by this time, that he has something to do with detective or
truancy or
Police
probation
work
or
or
something of that kind. Is your job a civil service job?
No, sir.
That's three down and seven to...
It's not a civil service job.
No.
3 down and 7 to go, and Miss Francis, please, the consultation period is over. Miss
Are
Francis,
there
ask the
other
question.
people employed in your organization that do the same kind of work you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you work, maybe it's a store, oh, pardon me. Do you work on several floors of an organization or just on one floor? Do you work on several floors of an organization?
Yes, I think that's a yes.
He gets up and down. He's not too sure what floor he's on right
No,
now.
that's right.
We floored him.
Dear me, I ought to penalize you for that.
Floors. Could we have a consultation? Just 2 seconds, very fast.
10 seconds.
It's either in a store, some kind of a detective, or a hotel.
Yes. I think it's a hotel dick.
All right, the consultation period is over. Miss Francis, continue with... Consultation period is over, Dr. Hoffman.
No,
Continue with the
consultation
questions.
period is over, and I am going to lean on Mr. Undermeyer.
I love
An older and wiser man.
Just older.
Inexperienced.
Can't you lean both
Are
ways?
you some kind of a detective? We have to nail down what it is.
Yes.
You are a detective.
Yes, that's right.
He works in a large building, either a store or a hotel.
The
or
consultation period is
Do
over,
this.
Miss
Wait,
Francis.
all right. Where you work, do they have lots of rooms?
Quite certainly, yes.
What do you think? You willing to go, fellas?
The prison warden.
Are you a house dick? If you pardon the expression.
Congratulations to the panel. Mr. McGowan, you won $15 worth of prize money. Thanks very much. You are a house detective at the Commodore Hotel. Well, congratulations. Thanks for being our guest on What's My Name. Well, congratulations, panel. You beat all around the bush, but you finally came up with a proper... Next challenger, will you sign in, please? Linda, Linda Stone. That writing's a little small, but it's very effective. And now, Miss Stone, tell us first of all where you live.
In the Bronx.
In the Bronx. Well, there's the panel. You have 2 members of your own sex on it. Not a thing to worry about. But we let the panel have a closer look at you now. Any reasonable demands they make while you accede to them, and then we'll take up from there. Go ahead, panel. She's all yours.
Miss Stone, do you like to dance? Socially, I mean.
Love it.
Would you give me a demonstration of how you would do the samba, for instance?
Oh, the samba, that's not one of mine.
What do you like?
The rumba.
Well, do a rumble for us, just to see.
Ho, 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 ho. Stay still, both of you.
Mr. Untermeyer, you're your friend.
I hope so. Miss Stone.
Don't rumble the wrong way.
Would you like to rumba with her?
She was taking a rumba from 1 to 10. Miss Stone, when you carry money, I presume you sometimes do carry money, what is the average amount of loose change you carry in your handbag? Think. You know what money is, that small stuff,
Yes, I know what money
little
is.
thing here.
Maybe she only
You
knows
carry a
about
lot of
folding money.
Well, at
Yes,
times.
no change.
At times.
I think you've got all the information you've got a right to. All right, Miss Stone. Is it Mrs. Stone, isn't it? Will you come back here and sit down beside me? Well, now, on the basis of your handwriting, what you've said, how you said it, and this close look they've had at you, we let the panel have a free guess. There are only 5 there. You'd think Joe Cook was also at the table, but he isn't. And we'll begin the free guesses once again with Dr. Hoffman.
I'm speechless.
You're speechless.
That's a break.
Then Miss
I'd
Francis.
say she's a fortune teller.
A fortune teller. Miss Francis.
A dancing teacher.
Mr. Undermeyer.
She teaches at the Copacabana.
Miss Kilgallen.
I think that she's a straight woman in a burlesque house in West New York, New Jersey.
You can sue Miss Kilgallen tomorrow because you're all wrong. And now let's let our viewers at home have a really close look at Mrs. Stone. A very pleasant occupation, that I might add.
Yes.
And at the same time, we'll tell our viewers what her line is. All right, panel, you know now what the rules of the game are. You can ask questions in turn until you get the answer no. Each no means a penalty of $5 against the panel, and it goes to our challenger. 10 no's and you've lost the game. I will give you one bit of help. Mrs. Stone is self-employed, and we'll begin the general questions this time with Mr. Undermeyer.
Self-employed, Mrs. Stone. Is most of your work indoors rather than outdoors?
Yes.
I presume you go out for a breath of air once in a while.
surely.
It is indoors. Do you work on the whole with small-time bosses or big-time bosses?
Well, that's...
Do you work in an organization where you're responsible to many people?
Well, now, wait, we've already said that Mrs. Stone was self-employed. Would you like to rephrase that
But she
question?
works indoors. All right. Do you work at things rather than... Do you work at things which give value to people?
No. 1 down and 9 to go. Miss Kilgallen, you better take over.
Mrs. Stone, do you need a certain amount of training for your job? Did you go through a period of training for your job?
Well, I guess some people can, but...
Yes. I think the answer to that question is yes, but don't be misled by it.
You came to her naturally.
I gathered that her talent came more or less naturally. Are you able to handle many customers?
She's kept busy.
I don't know how to...
Well, that's a very difficult question. I would say yes, but again, don't let the answer mislead you. It is possible that in her capacity, she would have to handle many customers.
And now what you sell is services rather than a product.
Yes. Yes, I do.
And people come to you to receive these services.
No.
That's, I think, basically no. That's 2 down and 8 to go. Dr. Hoffman, let's see what you can do.
Well, if people don't come to you, do you go to people to give them services?
No.
That's very... Would you withdraw the question?
Yes, I'll withdraw that. Are you kept pretty busy?
Yes.
And do people depend upon your advice?
Yes.
And as the result of your advice, are they made happier?
Yes.
Are they made prettier?
Sometimes.
More comfortable?
Yes.
Do you cater to the person, or do you cater to the person or to the garments? Well, let me see. Do you cater to the person?
Yes.
Do you use your hands in your work?
Yes.
Do you cater more to women than to men? Or equally?
No.
No, I think no is the proper answer there. That's 3 down and 7 to go. Mrs. Stone has won $15 already. Congratulations. She seems to be all things to all men and women. Miss Francis.
Do you work mostly, do you work days? Yes. Yes. Will you imply by that that maybe do you work nights? Sometimes. You'll never sleep.
That's a very important bit of information that you've just won yourself, Miss
She works
Francis.
both days and nights. Do you, was it answered that you do have a kind of training in your job? You don't have to. May I say, do you take care of the younger generation as a rule? Sometimes. Oh, we'll lose a no now. Are you a babysitter?
No, that's 4 down. It's a very interesting answer. That's 4 down and 6 to go. Mr. Undermeyer, would you like a consultation?
I would like a consultation.
All right, you can have
$20.
20 seconds for a consultation.
With your consent, can I go ahead on the domestic line?
Yes.
I think we have a lead.
Yes.
All right.
If you feel it.
I have a feeling for domesticity. Great feeling for it. Tell me, Mrs. Stone, do you do most of your work standing up?
It's not as domestic as you thought.
Do you do much of your work standing up?
That's better. Rephrase.
Keep it on
Does your work bring about tangible results?
Well, yes.
It does. It has to do with men and women and possibly children.
Yes.
You work in a house, mostly, rather than in an office.
Yes.
You work in your house. Are you a housewife?
Yes, she is, and congratulations. Well, I must say, Mrs. Stone, you gave him a merry face for a while, and you almost had $20
stick to
prize money, and
domesticity.
thanks for being our guest on What... Mr. X, will you come in and sign in, please?
Somebody knows it.
Mr. X, there it is. Well, Mr. X, thanks very much for coming to see us. And as you know, you're a special guest, and you will get $50 in prize money for your favorite charity if you'll just let us know who it is that you want us to send the money to. Now, we'll dispense with all the usual formalities. Panel, you'll go to the general questioning immediately, see if you can find out who our mystery celebrity is. Miss Francis, suppose you begin.
Mystery celebrity, are you in the entertainment business?
I'm afraid so.
How afraid are you?
Kind
Are you part of the acting profession? Would you
No.
consider yourself an actor?
No, I would say no is the proper answer for that. That's 1 down and 9 to go. Mr. Undermeyer, you're on the block.
You are in the entertainment field. Are you in anything connected with music?
Yes.
You are. Are you connected with the rendition of music?
Yes.
Yes. You mean you don't render it very well?
That's a presumption, Mr.
All right.
Undermeyer.
You use an instrument not in your own throat. That is an instrument that you scrape or blow through.
Yes.
You do. Do you scrape?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go. Miss Kilgallen, you've got a lot of valuable information to go to work on.
I have something more valuable than that. That voice is very familiar to me.
I was afraid of that.
You mean I should know you? Mr.
It's
X?
your business, you certainly should.
May I ask you to say Mary had a little lamb?
Mary had a widow lamb.
May I assume that you are not a long-haired musician?
You may assume.
But have you ever played at Carnegie Hall?
Yes, I have.
Oh. Are you dark?
Kinda.
And handsome?
Kinda.
Let me see. You need a special kind of training for your job, don't you?
Kinda again.
Have you ever been married?
You hit jackpot, Miss Kilgallen. I think you're driving to a finish.
May I say, does a certain song mean anything to you that deals with a certain tempo, like a begin?
Yes, it does.
Is your first name Artie?
Artie Shore, congratulations to Miss Kilgallen, and thanks very much for being our guest, Artie. We will send a check to your favorite home. And thanks very much indeed. Well, now we're ready for our next challenger, and will you sign in, please, sir? This time it's a gentleman, and you've got your blindfolds off, panel. Mr. William Ullman. Fine. Well, thanks, Mr. Ullman. Will you come up here with me for just a minute? Tell us first of all where you live, will you?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? That's in New York.
New York.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Pardon me. Well, there are not many people here from Brooklyn tonight. That usually brings the house down. Well, now, here's our panel. As you probably heard, we let them get a closer look at you. Now, is there any reasonable demands they make of you while you accede to them? And I'll see you a little bit later. All yours,
This
panel.
is probably sheer ignorance, but what's that little gadget in your lapel?
Well, it's just a little...
It's a lodge emblem?
That's right.
It's not a military decoration.
Mr. Ullman, merely as a test, can you repeat for me the words following these words? The words are to be or not to be. What comes after?
Or not to be.
To be or not to be. All
With
right.
the right gesture for it.
Well, he's not a Shakespearean actor.
All right, I will ask you another question then. Can you give me a fairly satisfactory rhyme for the word June?
Moon.
Very good.
That's very good. Mr. Ullman, they've had enough. You come over here, Mr. Ullman, and sit down next to me, if you will, please.
No,
I
I'm
think
not
you've
gonna ask
suffered
him a
enough
thing.
under the slings and arrows of Mr. Undermeyer's outrageous fortune. Sit in close here, and now, as you probably know, on the basis of your handwriting, what you've said, how you said it, we give the panel one free, wild, and happy guess as to what your line may be. All right, we'll begin the free guesses with Dr. Hoffman.
I believe that Mr. Ullman's a mechanic of some kind.
A mechanic of some kind. Miss Francis.
An upholsterer.
An upholsterer. Mr. Untermeyer.
He's an inexpert accountant.
An inexpert accountant. Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a plumber.
You think he's a plumber. Well, I'm afraid you're all wrong. And now let's let our viewers at home get a really close look at Mr. Ullman, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is.
Is that so funny?
All right, panel, you know what the rules are. You can ask questions in turn. They'll be answered yes or no. Each no answer will cost the panel $5, which will go to our challenger, Mr. Ullman. 10 no's, and you've lost the game. We'll give you one bit of help now, and that is to tell you that Mr. Ullman is salaried. And we'll begin the general questioning with Miss Kilgallen.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Definitely.
Do you consider yourself in business?
No, I'm not in business.
Well,
I'm employed.
Yes,
Employed.
we know that you're salaried, so I think Miss Kilgallen wanted to find out whether you were in the business world. The answer to that is yes.
I mean, his firm is a business
That's
firm.
right.
Is
That's
that
right,
it?
yes.
Do you work with your hands?
Yes.
do you go to work from your home? You go to a place of business
Well,
rather
at
than
times,
working
at
at home?
times.
You mean that sometimes you can work at home?
No, I can't work at
No,
all.
the answer is yes.
He does go to a place of business, but I think what he's trying to tell you is that you must not be misled to think that he's necessarily nailed down when he gets there. Go ahead, Miss Kilgallen.
After you get to your place of business, do you peregrinate?
Well, that's very good. I don't think we ought to bring that sort of thing up on this program, so we'll drop that question. Would you like to rephrase it?
Well, do you move around rather than sit at a desk?
Yes.
Move around. Do you move around looking at things?
Everyone looks at something. I mean, after all. I think the answer to that can be yes, Miss Kilgallen, but don't let it mislead you.
I don't know why I asked it, but it's got a reaction.
Trying to make him out a peeping Tom.
Miss Francis, I haven't heard any request for
Do you inspect things?
Yes, I inspect them.
And then after you inspect them, do you do something to them?
Sometimes.
If it's necessary, you do what's necessary?
Yes.
I pass. I have no idea where I'm going.
All right, Miss Kilgallen passes. I must say that you went all around the labyrinthine way, though. Now, Dr. Hoffman, let's see what you can do. We've got about 3.5 minutes to go.
Did you laugh too when you got your job?
No.
You did not laugh. Serious job.
Well, yes, it could be said.
The place you work, has it a bad odor? You don't work in a smelly place. I know.
No.
That's one down, and I was just fascinated by the line of questioning. Go ahead, Miss Francis.
You deal in services, I take it.
That's right.
Do you go to different places all the time? Or do you go, as opposed to going to just one place to perform your job?
Several places.
You go several different places. Do you work on something large in a mechanical way?
No, I would say no is a proper answer to that, and Mr. Ullman has got $10 in prize money. It's 2 down and 8 to go, and Mr. Undermeyer, you're on the block.
Have I time for a quick consultation?
I'll give you 20 seconds for
All right.
consultation.
I think, again, we're working wrong. I'm going to, again, my instinct for domesticity is going to lead me a little closer to what I think may be true of him.
What?
That he works mostly in homes rather than sort of scattered. Do you work mostly in homes as opposed to offices, let us say?
Well, no, not well, I think in the broad concept of your line, we'll have to say that yes is a reasonable answer to that question. Let it go.
Does your work make it better for people? Whatever your work is it better for people?
Yes.
Do you work with things as opposed to people? And I mean opposed to people.
Yes, I think the answer to that is yes, don't you, Mr. Ullman? He works with things in the doing of these. We've got about a minute and 15 seconds.
Are these living things?
That's a very difficult question to answer. I would say yes and no.
Are they living things before he starts to wake on them?
Would you answer that one?
Does he?
Yes.
Does he help exterminate these living things?
Yes, I would say he does.
He's an exterminator.
You say what?
He is an exterminator.
Very good, Mr. Ullman. He did. Now, let's see here. Mr. Ullman, you gave the panel a pretty rough time, even though you only won $10 in prize money. It's nice of you to come and visit us on What's My Line, and congratulations, and thanks for coming to see. Ladies and gentlemen, our time is up for this evening, so until 2 weeks from tonight, when once again we'll try to see how good we are at spotting the occupations of new challenges, this is John Daly saying good night, Dr. Hoffman.
Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Louis.
Good night, Dorothy Kilgallen.
And good night, John Daly.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?